We did have an increase in speech and language and also a specific learning disability, and that category is those students with a math, reading, or writing disability. So what does that mean for us? A couple things. One is that we are educating more students here in the district with these disabilities. Usually, depending on the need of the student, I try to find what the best place for the students to be, so I can get the best education. Sometimes it's here in the district, sometimes it's out in another district. But what's happening is that with the IB closing classes and other districts having a lot more students, the opportunities aren't there for students who have some disabilities into specific classes. So we have to learn to educate them here. So we're learning as a district how to educate students with autism, how to educate students with emotional disabilities. So that's a big learning curve for us, as in the past, we didn't have such a large influx. So, which means for us coming in the future, there's probably going to be some professional development, working with teachers to understand, hey, how do we support our students here in the district? So I don't see that changing anytime soon. It's just the way it's going. Every district is, in the same boat. I'm trying to find teachers for learning support, and we I'll send kids to Kanawha if they have an opening in an autism class. They'll send kids to me if I have an opening, but we're kind of just stuck. Everybody's in a stalemate. Everybody's full, everybody's packed, and just trying to do the best we can for all our students. Are there any questions?
I have one. What defines special ed? What makes
students
John
with
Smith
disabilities
versus James
such as emotional disturbance, considered learning disability, autism, multiple disabilities, life skills, diagnosis, hard of hearing, other
Are they
health
diagnosed by
impairments.
a doctor?
Pardon?
Are they diagnosed by a doctor?
These are educational diagnoses that school psychologists give. Or, for example, if a student comes to us, a parent says, my child has autism. They got a diagnosis outside of school, which does happen. So what we do an educational evaluation. So we have to determine if that diagnosis is affecting their education. And if it is, then they qualify under specific criteria for special education service.
I know the topic that Director Sullivan brought up was dyslexia. So that would have, and that's not something we provide, so that would have to come in from an outside source. And would that not be a special ed nature?
Dyslexia falls under a reading disability. It's a category under a reading disability. So our school psychologists look at what is the reading disability? Is it phonemic awareness, whatever that is, and then they base off if that's what the criteria is, then they'll look, okay, this is how we support that student with these strategies. Like there isn't a dyslexia, one of the 13 categories.
Okay.
It's part of the
So
reading.
the 13 categories that fall into that.
Yeah, it falls under a reading.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's so that's going to come up somewhere. So.
Thank you for asking that, Carl. And I want to add, when you get into dyslexia, are we having any luck? Any, I don't know how to put it. Are we able to move people that have dyslexia? Are we able to move them forward? Do we have any resources?
Well, they're part of the reading intervention.
Okay.
So, yes,
Okay.
they're part of the reading intervention strategy that they get with the learning support.
And on the autism scale, because I had a son who had autism, and he had to go to Trinity for a year. And his autism is pretty, yeah. So I'm very familiar with autism, and there's different levels, different spectrums, as you know. Are some of these parents coming into the district, are they under the understanding that their child will do well in this district, or are they under the understanding that maybe there's a specialized school they need to go to, or they're not at that level?
No, if a new family moves in, a lot of times they'll give me a phone, I'll talk to them, and I'll say, these are the services that we can provide. How can we support your child? So I'll get that IEP and I'll look to see what kind of services they are getting, to see how we can do that here in the district, or do they need a more intense classroom? I'll see if I can find a more intense classroom.
Right.
It all depends on your student.
Because I know what I was dealing with was not something any district could handle.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm asking. It was very severe, and the behaviors were very severe. And I'm not saying that this is the case here, but I'm just curious because I worry about that. Autism is something I'm seeing a lot more of.
Well, it's such a wide
It is a wide spectrum, and that's why I asked you, because I don't want to get in the personal part of it, but you probably know some type of idea what their spectrum is.
Yeah, I'll look, yeah, I get that information, school psychologist, and I will talk with the parent and say, this is what I can help, will this work? And sometimes we'll try it, and if it doesn't work, then we have to find another placement more intensive.
Right, I'm just making sure their needs are getting met, and obviously, I'm sure you're working as hard
Right,
as
that's
you
why
can on it. Yeah.
kids all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm just curious, do you have taken the numbers that because of new enrollments, or is that numbers that are put together because other districts are coming into positions that might be open?
No, so we had a few more moved in than usual this year, enrollments moved in. We've also identified a few more this year. We've had a number of students coming in from preschool, from the preschool program that came in for kindergarten this year. It varies every year.
So the evaluation starts at what grade level?
Some can start at preschool.
Oh, okay.
Some start at preschool.
And then others?
Others
does it
start when they come
manifest
in, like they'll come into the district and, I don't know, say by second grade, so the teachers are watching what's going on. They realize these students are making progress or growth. Then they'll go through the process of getting some interventions, some reading interventions. If they're still not making progress, we collect all this data. Then we say, okay, we need to move on to an evaluation.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Carol.
And Terry, you said that since we can't find outside placements for some of the students that we typically try to do that with, what types of staff members are now learning to?
So our learning support teachers, learning support teachers in our intensive behavioral classroom, but then also some of these folks that are regular ed, so we have to help support them too on how do they work with these students, what kind of accommodations do we make, modifications do we make, so it's.
Maybe think there will be some professional development for some of those
There will
regular
have to be.
teachers.
Any questions, Lucas, how was it? Thank you. Dr. Nella?
Yes. I'll start with technology, specifically relating to the building project, the conversation planning today regarding the 100s hallway classrooms, removal of both old technology for the phasing of that project, as well as new supplies to support the network and cabling in the new section of high school. A lot of equipment is owner provided, contractor installed, as well as network cabling to a patch panel that we then have to supply and install patch cables to the switches and other things. So having that equipment prepared and ready to go, we'll get the green light to be able to go on some of those different tasks that the technology department we're responsible for. Also in the area of technology, this week the tech team will be working with our vendor, Soft Choice, in a real professional development, what's called Security Center Investigations. So that's with the Google Admin Console. It's a tool to help tech administrators review activity logs, analyze any potential security threats that might be in place, and take action on those security incidents. So it's a good tool for us to help support cybersecurity and everything related to the network from the Google standpoint that we utilize, whether that's Gmail, Google Docs, Drive, application, anything of that nature. From the safety perspective, Safety Officer John Lawrence and myself have been working through our safety annexes, hazard annexes. One area that we're working through with the building unit administration as well as evacuation guidance. So a lot of us see in the news active shooter incidents where these incidents also involve an alarm being pulled or activated, and providing appropriate guidance to our faculty and staff to make sure we use our situational awareness to understand what is actually going on. So we talk a lot with our administrators about practice. Practice needs to be scheduled. Everybody needs to be aware of when practice is and on what day. so that we can be better informed as the adults in the building as well if an alarm would go off. As well as practicing without an alarm. We can all evacuate over the PA system. So it's using different tools in a different way to practice instead of always using an alarm. And you can imagine when an alarm goes off, a lot of us in the past would just jump up and evacuate. So there's a new type of thinking with regards to that. So John and I spoke with the Deputy Fire Commissioner of Pennsylvania about this and asking for guidance from the state level. We don't have any yet, they're working on it. But he didn't say, as a fire professional for over 30 years, when you hear an alarm, get up and leave. He said, use that situational awareness as the adult leader of that classroom of students. Use your senses and your professional judgment continues as you diagnose what may be occurring. So it's important that we as building administrators and faculty and staff understand that concept of situational awareness and be always thinking about what may be occurring instead of just following what you might feel from a long term. So that's an area we're working through from a safety perspective. We also have additional radios for our PE staff now, outside in the outdoor classrooms, so they can communicate as well with the front office staff and use those at all times outside. From a Thunderbolt Cyber Academy standpoint, we currently have 15 cyber school students. There's another 4.
Okay, question,
Yeah.
Marshall. I'll let you do this.
Doing these practices, communication is probably very, very important to let people know. Did you guys look at data to how the student body responds? Because in a young child's mind, practice versus the real thing, in their mind, can be very close. And that could be something where their heightened stress levels could really go up, and with all the different complexities of life with different students and mental health and all that kind of stuff. You kind of look at that as well and try to monitor?
I think absolutely. I mean, just the sheer volume of an alarm going on, understanding how some students may internalize that is important. One of the other key points I'd like just to touch on is when we're practicing, do we actually say that we're going to practice with our students now? This is the practice drill. Before we evacuate, talk to your students about situational awareness and what we would do in a situation when the alarm goes off. So those are educational components that maybe not at a young level, but as a middle school and a high school student, they're probably wondering that as well. So it's an educational opportunity that we inform and educate our students as to how we would respond to an alarm that might be going on. Here's what my role as the adult in the classroom is and what I'm doing. You as well can help and support that. I think that's the next step with regards to practicing and educating our kids. As opposed to at 10 o'clock, we're going to pull a pool station and practice evacuating. We don't actually talk to the students right before that. Hey, this is how we would proceed. Here's what we're looking for when we get up. And this is what we're looking for when we open the door, as to how we're going to use our senses to have a better understanding of what might be occurring or not occurring. And understanding that. It's just like going in a hotel or a motel back in the day. How many checked the hotel and motel for a fire sprinkler system? Now it's more common, and even a lot more common in Maryland, some of your homes having it as a code. But those are situational awareness pieces that I think we all need to educate our students on as well as adults. It's definitely important. It's evolving, and it's not just cut and dry, black and white, and that's what we need everybody to have a better understanding.
Hold the alarm, we went out to the soccer field or whatever, and we got a bus.
I know, I saw in the story this weekend in Washington that they haven't been doing their fire drills and other drills on a regular basis. Will you refresh the boards what the state requirements are for?
State requirements are within 90 days. We, as a Pennsylvania school district, must have a safety drill, emergency drill, so that can be anything outside the realm of a fire drill. So that's more of your intruder drill, a lockdown, going through that. And then we're mandated then to have a fire drill every month. So that's the bare minimum standards. Bus evacuation as well. I think at 2 points throughout the school year for the bus evacuation. One at the beginning of the year and one at the end of the year for bus evac.
Along that line, what are all types of different drills in the current?
Right now, we do the intruder drill and the fire drill. From that perspective, I know there's been other drills enacted from a hold perspective. There's a medical emergency. It's a hold in your classroom. Disregard the bells because you might need to bring paramedics down the hallway. So that's something you can pretty much instruct over the PA system from that perspective.
What about severe weather?
Severe weather has not been mandated, so we don't necessarily do a severe weather where we're relocating to different areas of the building. That was something that we've done in the past. We can do that, but it hasn't been a mandated drill from a severe weather perspective.
Anybody else have any other questions?
That's it, Dan. I have a question. How much of the element of surprise do you put in to these drills? I mean, do you always tell the students when you're doing them, or do you kind of just tell the staff and then staff? Okay, staff. Okay, good.
Staff.
So the students aren't, so they're,
No, but that's where I'm saying, if it's the staff know Tuesday at 10 o'clock, we're gonna have a drill in place, then they know, obviously if it's Monday afternoon, an alarm goes off, that's the plan.
Right.
So that's how the adult needs to more or less be that leader of that classroom setting in that situation.
and it also allows the students to be able to act on impulse and not know it's coming, and that's very important. Because they want to have drilled in their head exactly what they have to do.
Right.
Like a learned behavior.
Right.
And that's why I asked you.
And it's bringing the students along that continuum of situational awareness. Okay, I've got an alarm, something's happening. Have our students have a better understanding of how we as a school and a building process information as well. So I think it's important they have a good understanding too of what our plan is in the event, for example, how we proceed down the hallway, or out into the hallway, as opposed to just going and moving out of the rush.
I know when we were kids, when we would have a fire drill, we weren't told, but the fire department was always there to rate us. They had stopwatches on, and they would see how long it took us to get out. Do they do that here?
No.
They don't, so.
And I think that's key. I mean, and if we're looking at utilizing situational awareness, it's not how fast we get out of the building, it's understanding what we're faced with regards to the actual emergency or non-emergency from an active shooter perspective.
Right.
Is kind of where I'm trying to focus some of our thinking and understanding. Speed is not key in that situation. Have to understand what's actually happening in the building to the best of our ability to go in that area, wherever that may be in that building.
I mean, it wasn't really a question, well, I guess it kind of is, but Lindsay asked, Karen, I'm sorry, but, like, at the beginning of the school year, when you have like assemblies, are you part of that when you say, this year we're gonna have fire drills, and that way you don't have to wait for teachers to do something ahead of time?
Meeting with the teachers, not necessarily the students. It's something to consider though.
You know, you can get up there and say, this year you're gonna have fire drills, and this is what we need. I'm just wondering if you're part of that.
Any other questions?
I have a quick one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So when you do the lockdown,
I assume the students have a space in the actual classroom that they can get away from the desk.
Yeah, so the lockdown is more of an educational practice session with the students, coaching them, talking to them, what we would do in a situation, how we would respond, how we would locate ourselves within this classroom, where we would go, if we were going to evacuate.
I guess I meant more the intruder versus because obviously there's windows and the doors that an intruder could see the kids.
Right, so it's looking for a hard corner. So for example, in this classroom setting, I know we have 2 doors, but if we utilize this one, we would more